There's a moment every single person who has ever tried to lose belly fat knows. Standing in front of the mirror, doing everything right, and still watching that stubborn abdominal fat refuse to move. You've cut calories. You've pushed through workouts. You've followed the weight loss tips. And yet, nothing. What if the problem was never your discipline, but the weapon you were using? In this video, you're going to find out exactly what happens inside your body when you stop eating for a strategic window of time, and why intermittent fasting is the most powerful fat-burning tool science has ever validated. This isn't another generic fitness video telling you to eat less and move more. What you're about to watch is a minute-by-minute breakdown of your biology from the moment your last meal ends to the moment your body starts torching visceral fat like fuel. You'll understand why your metabolism works the way it does, how to eliminate abdominal fat without destroying muscle, and what actually happens at the cellular level when fasting kicks in. This is science explained in a way that will completely change how you see weight loss. By the end of this video, you'll never look at hunger the same way again. Every single day, millions of people wake up, step on a scale, and feel that quiet, crushing disappointment. They've been trying. God, have they been trying? They swapped the pasta for salad. They downloaded the fitness app. They set the alarm for 6 a.m. to get that run in before work. And still, the belly fat sits there, unmoved, indifferent. The weight loss tips they followed didn't work. The slimming teas did nothing. The low-fat yogurts produced maybe 2 pounds of progress before everything stalled. The reason it feels so true is because the tools most people are using were never designed to fight belly fat in the first place. Eliminating abdominal fat, specifically the deep, dangerous visceral fat, requires an entirely different approach. It requires understanding how your fat actually works. Visceral fat is not passive tissue. It behaves more like a rogue organ. It produces inflammatory cytokines and disrupts hormonal signaling. The most important hormone in that environment, the one that is almost never discussed, is insulin. Insulin is the master regulator. When insulin is present in your bloodstream, your body's fat stores are inaccessible. They are physically sealed. Most people's insulin levels never drop low enough because of the modern structure of eating breakfast, snacks, lunch, and dinner. You're not lazy. You've just been playing the game with the wrong rulebook. And today, that rulebook changes. To understand what intermittent fasting does to your belly fat, you need to understand what happens inside your body hour by hour from the moment you finish your last meal. Because this isn't abstract theory, this is a physiological timeline that is happening inside you right now, or will happen the next time you choose to extend the window. Understanding it is what makes the difference between someone who quits at hour 14 because they think something is wrong, and someone who pushes through to the metabolic breakthrough. The first phase begins immediately after your final meal of the day. Your body digests, absorbs, and processes that food over roughly the next 3 to 5 hours. Glucose enters your bloodstream. Insulin rises. Your cells absorb what they need. Any excess glucose gets converted to glycogen and stored in your liver and muscles. Think of this as filling the refrigerator. It's the fast-access energy storage, convenient, immediately available. No effort required to retrieve it. As long as that fridge stays stocked, your body has zero reason to look anywhere else for fuel. It will go back to the fridge every single time. The liver can store a limited amount of glycogen, roughly 100 grams. Your muscles hold more, but muscle glycogen stays local. It doesn't circulate freely. As the hours pass, and as your body continues drawing down on that liver glycogen reserve to maintain blood glucose levels, that reserve depletes. For most people eating dinner at 7 or 8, liver glycogen is substantially depleted by the time they wake up the next morning. Waking up in a glycogen-depleted state feels genuinely uncomfortable, but here's what that advice never told you. That discomfort is the doorway. It is the moment right before your body opens the door to the basement, walks down the stairs, and starts pulling energy from the deep freeze from stored body fat. The problem is that most people eat before they ever get there. They feel the hunger, interpret it as danger, and immediately restock the fridge. The door never opens, the fat never gets touched, and the cycle continues, day after day, year after year, while the abdominal fat keeps building. When you practice intermittent fasting, you are making a deliberate decision to stay in that depleted state long enough for something fundamentally different to happen. Around the 10 to 12 hour mark, liver glycogen reaches critically low levels. The body's primary fuel source is gone. Hunger becomes loud and persistent. It is metabolic withdrawal, the body throwing a tantrum because it wants to go back to the easy fuel and it's being told no for the first time. If you can sit with that discomfort, something remarkable begins to happen around the 14 to 16 hour mark. Insulin levels finally drop to a threshold. Glucagon, the hormone that opposes insulin, rises. Noradrenaline begins circulating. These hormonal signals reach your fat tissue and activate enzymes. The triglycerides stored inside your fat cells begin to be cleaved. Fatty acids flood into your bloodstream. This is lipolysis. This is the fat burning. Your mitochondria start receiving fat as their primary fuel source. It begins not with a supplement, but with simply staying out of the way. It is the metabolic breakthrough that completely transforms your body composition, your energy, and your long-term fitness. Once lipolysis is fully activated, the experience of fasting changes profoundly. This is the part that surprises people most. The first time they push through the wall and experience it for themselves, the hunger that felt so urgent begins to quiet, not gradually, almost suddenly. It's as if a switch flips somewhere in the hypothalamus, the brain's hunger regulation center, and the screaming signal to eat is replaced by something much calmer. The brain fog lifts, energy stabilizes, cognitive clarity, real, sharp, undeniable clarity comes online. People describe it as feeling more present, more focused, more capable. The instinct is to attribute this to something psychological, to the pride of having willpower. But the explanation is entirely physiological. It is one of the most compelling arguments for intermittent fasting as a tool for both fat loss and mental health. When your body makes the transition to fat-based metabolism, fatty acids are broken down in the liver into molecules called ketone bodies, specifically beta-hydroxybutyrate, acetoacid, and acetone. These ketones are not a backup fuel. They are a superior fuel for the brain. The brain normally relies on glucose, but it adapts readily to ketones and functions more efficiently when running on them. BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, increases during fasting. This protein promotes the growth and maintenance of neurons. It strengthens synaptic connections and has been associated with improved memory, sharper focus, and reduced symptoms of anxiety and depression. The mental health resources available to your brain expand when you're in a fasted state. This is documented in peer-reviewed literature. This explains why cognitively productive people in high-performance environments have adopted intermittent fasting for the cognitive edge. Simultaneously, your body is managing a critical balancing act, one that addresses a persistent fear of muscle loss. The concern is understandable. If your body is eating itself for fuel, surely it's cannibalizing muscle tissue, right? This fear has kept millions from experiencing the transformative power of fasting. But it is based on a misunderstanding of fuel prioritization. During fasting, the pituitary gland dramatically increases its secretion of human growth hormone. Studies have documented HGH increases of several hundred to over 1,000% above baseline in some protocols. This surge is a deliberate evolutionary adaptation. Growth hormone's role is anabolic protection. It signals the body to hold on to lean tissue. A body that burned muscle before fat during food scarcity would be destroying the very infrastructure it needs to hunt and survive. Evolution is ruthlessly efficient. It does not burn the engine before it burns the fuel tank. Fat goes first, muscle is protected. This understanding matters for anyone who cares about fitness and body recomposition, the quality of what's left when the fat comes off. Standard caloric restriction often results in a mixture of fat and muscle loss because the body doesn't have the hormonal environment to differentiate. Intermittent fasting creates a different environment. Low insulin and elevated HGH mean that fat burning becomes highly preferential. You are sculpting your body's composition at a hormonal level, and the difference in outcome over weeks and months is dramatic. Exercise during a fasted state has been shown to increase fat oxidation. Physical activity draws more heavily from fat as fuel. Combined with the HGH spike, fasted training can support fat burning, preserve lean mass, and improve insulin sensitivity over time, creating a positive metabolic feedback loop that accelerates progress in every direction at once. There's a biological process that begins in the deeper hours of a fast that has nothing to do with weight loss. It has everything to do with how long and how well you live. It was studied for decades in obscurity before Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize in 2016 for elucidating its mechanisms. It is called autophagy, and it is arguably the most underappreciated benefit of intermittent fasting. Not just for those chasing a slimmer waistline, but for everyone interested in longevity, resilience, and biological optimization. Autophagy, from the Greek words for self and eating, is the body's cellular recycling and quality control system. To understand why it matters, you need to understand what happens to your cells in the absence of it. Every cell contains proteins and organelles like mitochondria, ribosomes, and lysosomes that gradually accumulate damage over time. Proteins misfold, mitochondria become dysfunctional and start producing more reactive oxygen species than energy. In a body that is constantly fed and running on glucose, there is no metabolic space to deal with this debris. The machinery that would normally clear it out requires a signal that constant feeding suppresses. That signal is the drop in insulin and the rise in intracellular AMT2 ATP ratio that comes with extended fasting. When that signal arrives, autophagy activates. Cells begin consuming damaged components and recycling them into fresh molecular machinery. The implications for long-term health are enormous. Dysfunctional mitochondria that produce cellular oxidative stress get cleared. Misfolded proteins that trigger inflammatory responses associated with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's get broken down and recycled. Senescent cells, cells that have stopped dividing but refuse to die, are more efficiently cleared. Inflammation drops. Tissue function improves. Biological aging, as measured by epigenetic markers, slows. For anyone concerned about mental health and long-term cognitive function, the autophagy angle is particularly compelling. Neurons are among the longest-lived cells in the body, and they are vulnerable to protein aggregation over decades. The beta-amyloid plaques and tau tangles associated with Alzheimer's are, in part, a manifestation of failed cellular clearance. Autophagy directly targets these aggregates, Improving metabolic flexibility through fasting is being studied as a preventive strategy. Mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new, healthy mitochondria, is stimulated by fasting during fatty acid oxidation. These adaptations produce the kind of effortless fat loss and sustained energy that people practicing this lifestyle describe. It's mitochondrial adaptation. Give your body enough time without food to finish the work it's trying to do. The piece of this framework, the one that determines whether intermittent fasting becomes a transformative lifestyle or just another failed experiment, is what happens after the fast ends, because there is a deeply ironic trap waiting for anyone who pushes through 18 or 20 hours, achieves the fat-burning state, activates autophagy, experiences the cognitive clarity, and then immediately undoes all of it in the first 20 minutes. Most people fall into this trap because nobody ever explained to them that the way you break a fast is as important as the fast itself. After an extended fast, your cells are primed to receive nutrients. Your insulin sensitivity is at its peak. Your cells are maximally responsive. Your fat cells are mobilized and actively releasing fatty acids. Your gut is in a state of heightened permeability and absorption efficiency. In this state, what you eat first has an outsized impact. A meal high in refined carbohydrates triggers a massive rapid insulin spike. That spike immediately halts fat burning. It slams the door on lipolysis. It locks the fat cells shut again. The body interprets this as an emergency restock. The fridge was empty. Now there's food. Fill it immediately. Fill it aggressively. Designing healthy meal plans specifically for breaking a fast is not a minor detail. It is the strategic linchpin of the entire practice. The first meal should prioritize protein, delivering amino acids for muscle synthesis. It should include slow-digesting carbohydrates like fibrous vegetables and legumes. This kind of meal does not undo the fast. It extends the metabolic benefits while preserving the insulin sensitivity that was gained. The long-term goal is metabolic flexibility, the capacity of your body to move fluidly between glucose and fat as primary fuel sources. A metabolically flexible person who skips breakfast doesn't crash. They don't experience brain fog. Their energy remains stable because their body transitions to fat. They eat when they are genuinely hungry, not because the clock says it's mealtime. This is a state of genuine freedom from hunger cycles. The connection between chronic hyperinsulinemia and modern mortality statistics, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and liver disease is well documented. Every hour your insulin is elevated beyond the minimum is an hour during which visceral fat accumulation is favored and inflammation is promoted. Intermittent fasting is a metabolic reset, a hormonal recalibration, and a longevity strategy simultaneously. It is what your biology was designed to do. Periods of food abstinence have been part of human experience across every culture, embedded in religious practices and ancestral survival rhythms. What is new is the modern disease of constant eating, ultra-processed food engineered to maximize palatability and consumption frequency. Intermittent fasting is not a trend. It is a return to the fundamental metabolic rhythm that kept human beings lean and cognitively sharp, and it is available to you completely free, requiring no equipment or supplements starting from your very next meal. There's a natural solution to speed up your metabolism, control cravings, and support your weight loss journey naturally and effectively. Click the link in the first pinned comment to start transforming your body. If you want to truly transform your body and learn how to lose belly fat healthily, don't stop here. In the next video, I'll share practical strategies and little-known secrets to boost your metabolism and keep the weight off for good. Click now and discover how to take your weight loss to the next level.